Good. How are you? Hey, nice to meet you.
Hi, I'm Eric, and this is Jason. And this is Colin. I'm here with Eric, and this is Mike. Jason's been on several Yes Men events.
All of them.
In fact, he's been in all.
That's right.
Colin has been to several previous Yes Men events, Yes Con events, Yes Cons, I don't know.
All the above.
We don't really know what to call her, so sometimes we're the Yes Men, sometimes it's the Yes Con event, sometimes it's the Men of Yes. Is it actually called the Yes Men Conference, Yes Con, Men of Yes?
It's all of those things. There's a couple things that are key there. It's yes, and some event where you've got to say yes to something that you're not really sure about.
Yeah.
That's a big thing.
Yeah.
Like, you know, you're not really sure what you're gonna do. You don't do this very often. You're not wholly sure who's gonna be there.
Yeah, like-
but you say yes. You open yourself up to some new experiences. Open yourself up to some people pouring into you, and some people that are gonna challenge you. It's about saying yes to come what may.
Yeah.
And I know that brings some trepidation to some people,
Yeah.
but has really produced a lot of fruit in the last 5 or 6 Yes Cons, Men of Yes events, whatever we
Yeah.
call it. So you're gonna have great food, you're gonna have great drinks, you're gonna have experiences that you probably have never done before. You're gonna be in places that you've probably never been to, even inside your own city.
Yeah.
And further, you're gonna have great conversations, and I can't stress that enough. That is the key. That the ability to share talks with one another as we're walking, or as we're talking over a great meal, when we are just talking to each other about our goals, talking to each other about our relationships and our challenges. That is really the meat and potatoes.
Eric came to a couple of our events last year, and just wanted to get your thoughts on what you thought about it, what you got out of it, and what you might be looking forward to on a future event.
Well, I tell you what, that's a lot. But when I think about the Yes Men trips, I think about the experiences that we've had. I think about the conversations that we've had.
I was really surprised at the caliber of people that came. Everybody was really quite impressive without having, without being too full of themselves and having that ego that typically comes with, kind of some high caliber people.
We have like a former CFO, a serial inventor, Colin, who designs trade show booths and does marketing and handyman work on the side. Eric runs Dignity Coconut Oil. Or is it Dignity Coconuts? How do you say it?
Dignity Coconuts. We sell
Okay.
coconut oil. I was in Iraq for
Okay.
a year doing missions work, and so we were doing everything from helping get clean water to a city of 1 million people, to medical dental work and stuff like that. And this was in 2004 when it was, everything was blowing up. And then after that, spent a bunch more years helping other people do humanitarian work all around the world in crazy places in countries that are hard to pronounce, like Kazakhstan, Tajikistan.
When I think about the Yes Men trips, I think about the experiences that we've had. I think about the conversations that we've had.
You really grow in a way that you maybe didn't anticipate. You grow not only individually, but grow as friends, and maybe learn something new about yourself. So that too is what I really like about it. Is it's not just going and doing something fun. That's a part of it for sure, but it's really centralized around good conversation, topics that prompt you to think.
It is vitally important that we build community, even with people that are not close by to us. It's all about how small we make the community around us. And it's so important. The Yes Men conferences that we've had have been challenging. They've been eye-opening. I think on every single one, we've either been to new places we've never been before, we've done things I've never done before.
Each Yes Men event is created or planned by one of the members.
One individual is in charge of planning the event, so where we go, where we eat, where we stay. And what I've really enjoyed out of that is get a chance to do things that perhaps I wouldn't select on my own. And getting a chance to do something that maybe someone else would prefer to do, but I would never do, has actually been a lot of fun. Like we did Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu one time. I would never do that on my own, but we did it, and it was a ton of fun. Or like archery. We did that escape room that one time. So just getting to do something different.
It provides the backdrop, more importantly, to just have the conversations that you have just over a drink or have over a meal or just have a walk through downtown Chicago to get to from one thing to the next. Just the ability to have conversations with other guys that are going to challenge you and build you up and encourage you to be more than what you are. I've been surrounded by some guys this weekend that have pushed me. I've been surrounded by some guys that have challenged me. Do you have somebody like that in your life? It's like some coals putting together, right? Some logs getting together. You got one coal out there that's on fire. You set it aside, it's gonna wither away. You put a couple more next to it, and you got a fire going. What are you doing this month, this week, this year, this day to get further?
Being just goal oriented every day. And thinking about, what are the little goals that I can accomplish each day that are going to lead up to the big goals, and not just thinking about these big goals that are way out in the future that I'll attain someday. Like you have to get there somehow, and it's what I'm doing today that's going to get me there. Some of those are small goals, some of those are big goals. Yeah. But what I've looked forward to in the Yes Men conference is getting to share those, like to kind of get those outside of my head and share those with the other guys.
So it's not about competing with one another, it's about competing to make ourselves better versions of ourselves.
What are some of the outcomes and success stories that you've seen coming out of past events?
I think about the other projects that have sprung out of this, particularly Alex's project that sprung out of our first YesCon in Chicago.
I don't think that would have happened had I not gone to the first YesCon, the inaugural YesCon in Chicago.
One guy started a podcast, quit his job, and then moved to Bali. I got back into consulting and doubled my income.
Those really stand out to me as key reasons why I want to keep going to things like this.
Another guy was inadvertently laid off in the process, but because of all the self-development work he'd done, he was able to power through and get another job and secure that very quickly. People who he was interviewing with said, I don't know who this guy is, but we have to hire him, because he was just so different. If he hadn't have had that deep well of internal fortitude that built up, that he wouldn't have been able to, as easily as he did, transition to that new career. 2019
is a huge year of change for me.
Yeah.
So our YesCon in the winter of 19 was very helpful, because that was right in the middle of that. And so the ability to bring my council together and talk things out with some of the guys that I trust the most in this world was very helpful. I view these trips as energizing to me.
If you're in need of an energy boost, if you're in need of a bit of a challenge, if you're in need of just some fun around some other high caliber guys, if you need a swift kick in the pants just to go and do what you know you're supposed to be doing. If you're like me, you probably have some big goals of things that you want to do either personally or in your business, or launch something, and those can get daunting. One of the things this group has done is to kind of hold me to hey, if you know that that's the best thing for you to do, then do it.
And that alone is worth the price of admission.
So let's talk cost. Event is free to attend.
Sure.
But for those, knowing that we're going to be doing activities, we're going to be having lunch, we're going to be having dinners, having some drink. Maybe someone's looking like, okay, I need to save up. What should their goal be to kind of be prepared to spend at YesCon?
So traditionally, these events have cost around $500. That's kind of the goal. We try to keep underneath that, including travel. If you only want to attend some of those, you can. You don't have to attend everything. There is another thing that's somewhat unique about how the money works. You know how you go to like Buca de Beppo and it's like family style eating? Well, this is like family style conference.
Explain.
So what I mean is you pay up front like $400, let's say, and the rest of the time you don't worry about any money. Every time we go to a restaurant, somebody else is going to take care of the bill. No matter what you order, no matter what activities we do, you pay once, and then everything else is covered.
So does YesCon have a motto or a mission statement?
Well, the reason why it's called YesCon is because we say yes to things that other people don't. So by definition, if you come to this, you're saying yes to it, and there's lots of people who, when they hear about it, they're not saying yes. So by opting into this, you're actually becoming part of a select group of people who say yes to things. 95% of the people don't even know what they want out of life. And so just being someone who's intentional about your life, knowing what you want, sets you apart from the vast majority of other people. And it really is the difference between living an average life and a good life.
The ability to challenge myself and to allow myself to be challenged is really, really worthwhile. There's not many opportunities, particularly for, let's be honest, for grown men to do that. And you know, this is something where you have some fun, you learn some stuff, you teach some stuff too,
Yeah.
and then you really grow. It's a personal growth conference.
Eric, how many conferences have you put on now for YesCon?
So we did 4 so far.
We've had Chicago, we've had Minneapolis, we've had Duluth, we've had Nashville.
People don't have to go to all of it if they don't want to. They can just come to some. Sometimes we might meet up with people at a certain place and then another person at another place. We really enjoyed having Eric kind of meet up with us, even though he wasn't there for all of it. It was nice to meet up with him, like before or after or during, and even in those limited interactions, you still got something out of it, right?
Oh yeah. For family reasons, I couldn't be a part of the whole weekend for both times, but both times, just the biggest thing is I got with this group and felt like this is a rare moment where I'm with other guys who get it. As an entrepreneur, somebody who's making really tough choices in terms of marketing, hiring, firing people, sales, finances, fundraising, all of that. There's really hard choices I'm making every day, and it's rare that I get with other guys that understand that, and actually many of them who have experience in that. One example is one of the guys has done a lot of branding, and right when we got together, I was right in the middle of rebranding our whole packaging and our whole logo and everything, and afterwards we had connected even more, and he just gave me some really great ideas. He helped me process and think through some things. It was incredibly helpful.
You're at home and you feel like you've been sitting on the sidelines when it comes to, you get an idea and there's no one there to nurture it with you, or you feel like there needs to be a change, but you don't know what first step to take. YesCon can be that first step.
Yeah.
If you're if you have a group of people already that are really challenging you, helping you be the best you can be, helping you develop the skills that you need, coming around you and caring about even things outside of work, making sure that you have a balance with work and family life, people that are going to give you a swift kick in the pants when you really need it, when in order to reach some of your goals, you're going to need to make some hard choices and really carve out time and say no to some other things in order for you to take on some of the hard stuff. If you have that already, great. You don't need this group. But if you don't, which I think most guys like us, and especially, the closer you get to the top, the lonelier it gets. You don't have other people to turn to. Either they don't understand and can't relate, or their advice is just off and it's not what it needs to be. It's not current. It's not what's needed today. So that's what it brings, and that's what I found helpful from it.
You know, sometimes there's not something we can do other than just listen, but sometimes listening is enough.
For me, being an entrepreneur and leader, it's pretty hard to get in with a group like this that has so much experience and skills and background that actually I can relate to. Where I'm making pretty hard decisions every day about marketing, advertising, how much money to put into this, what products to launch, or management decisions, HR stuff, fundraising, and things like that. And so it was pretty unique to get in front of a group of people that actually can relate to that, and people that could speak into some of the challenges that I'm having at the time and have some really good advice for me on different fronts.
Really, we want you to move from a life of mediocrity to intentionality so that you can have a successful life, and by being more intentional and having goals, because really that's the only thing that separates someone with a mediocre life from a successful life, is living with intentionality and goals. We kind of teach each other. Like anybody who wants to teach can essentially lead a session, right? And so we have the different people are coming. You never really know. It's not like a set conference where this person's going to be speaking on a certain thing. You kind of never know what somebody's going to be speaking on. And a lot of times it's not just you sitting in a room listening to someone. It's taking a walk around a lake, or having a beer or a coffee, or even a cigar.
I like the style of the conference where, everybody is on an equal playing field. Everyone's there to learn from each other. But they almost get the opportunity to feel maybe more like a mentee in your first couple of go-arounds. And the more you participate, you're probably going to find yourself giving more as a mentor in these events for those that are coming year after year. Would you say so?
Yeah, and everyone's in a different spot in their life and has different skills.
It was tricky. I was trying to describe like what this group is.
Yeah.
And it's hard because you guys don't, you don't have this like super narrow focus of we only, do Excel training for weightlifters, like because you're not so focused, like you had such a broad scale that it's hard to describe what you do and why it's so effective. But for me, that's really helpful because some of the areas that we do are so broad, and we also include things that are personal. It's important how things are going through marriage, because let's not kid ourselves that bleeds into everything else. As well, as kids, as well as just how you're doing emotionally and how you're processing things, and depression and spiritual stuff that's going on. So all that is a part of the conversation, and it's all relevant because they overlap, and so I appreciate that when you guys get together. It's not you don't say, oh, you're struggling with anxiety, we don't talk about that one. Let's get back to business. That's absolutely relevant.
I think that's an area that mentor groups or specific conferences sometimes aren't able to get a well-rounded group. It may be like you join a group and everybody's in a similar type of business lane, which can be helpful if you're really just looking to get ahead in your specific career. But YesCon seems to take a more holistic approach to say we're just trying to better you in all areas of life, and it doesn't matter if you're highly technical, if you've got a trade skill, if you are trying to become an inventor, or you're just trying to get better at planning your normal day-to-day life. You're bringing everybody together.
I appreciate that this group is not so narrow focused. There's a lot of conferences you can go to where it's really focused on just this one thing. And I really appreciate that this is a group where it's other things are on the table. How you're doing emotionally is on the table. Fears make up so much of what our results and drive and everything come up with. So we've got to be able to figure out where our fears are coming from, and usually those are personal, and often they're from childhood and things like that, or it's just patterns of thinking, and we need to be able to break those patterns, and some of our anxiousness and some of our quirks and things like that. And so I appreciate that that's that's something we talk about. We talk about emotions, we talk about spirituality, we talk about family, and because that bleeds into our work life. We can't just bifurcate those things and think that they don't influence each other.
All right, thanks, Mike. I'm looking forward to it. How about you?
Hey, I've got it booked. Have you guys got it booked?
I'll be there.
Hey, I can't wait. So I'm looking forward to that same stuff. I'm looking forward to the conversations.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to just the banter back and forth in between different things. I just know spending time, concentrated time with these dudes is very valuable to me.
I'm looking for this upcoming trip. I hope you can make it.
Yeah, I'm hoping so too.
I've really enjoyed going. I've loved spending time with you and the rest of the guys, and I look forward to the upcoming trip. To other men who are considering going, try not to look at the logistics of it. Like, yeah, it might be time away from your family or your kids. It might cost you a little money. Don't let the logistics of the trip be your motivating factor to decide whether or not you want to go. Look at it as an opportunity to deepen your relationships with other guys. I guarantee that the majority of people you encounter and ask if they'd want to come, you invite, they probably don't have a best friend. Like, it's the truth of it. The majority of men do not have best friends. And that might sound kind of, warm and fuzzy, like, oh, you gotta have a best friend. But like, do you have men in your life who know you well, who know you deeply well? Because if you don't, like, you're missing out on a lot of untapped potential for yourself and for what you can have between other guys. That's one of the main things I look forward to in these trips. Because I try to maintain those all year round, but like you said earlier, the trip is really an opportunity, if you're not in that mentality, to kind of reset and to recalibrate your attention on stuff like that. Or it's in a time for me, it's time to just kind of reinvest.
It's great. It's life. So yes.